What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris Jones, Chris Jones Gaming Network, Community Manager, Lords of Gaming.net. We're here to talk about Demeo X Dungeons and Dragons Battlemarked. Is it worth it? Well, recently, myself, Lord Petey, and Lord Cognito had a chance to sit down with Gustav Stenmark of Resolution Games to talk about Demeo X Dungeons and Dragons Battlemarked. We're going to get into my thoughts and opinions right now. Demeo X Dungeons and Dragons Battlemarked recently launched on MetaQuest 3, PS5, PSVR 2, Steam PC, and is one of the best tabletop experiences being converted into a video game that you'll have a chance to experience. It's got something to bring Demeo players over, it's got something to bring Dungeons and Dragons player over, and it doesn't lean too far one way or the other to detract some people. I know some people might not be Dungeons and Dragons fans, or some people might not be Demeo fans, but it's got a little bit for everything. It starts off with 2 campaigns: Embers of Chaos, Crown of Frost. Crown of Frost being my personal favorite. I put plenty of hours into gameplay for the review, and it's got a little something special. Crown of Frost does at the end, last dungeon for Demeo fans. If you played that game, you'll be able to see that. Starts off with 6 characters. You got your fighter, you got the bard, you got the ranger, you got the rogue, you got the paladin. And my personal favorite, if you know me, you know how much I love the sorcerer. But I was surprised at how fun the bard was. Like I said, we had the chance to sit down with Gustav Stenmark of Resolution Games and kind of go over the ins and outs of the game, the motivations for doing this game, the crossover between Wizards and them. And I was pretty stoked to see how well the game converts from Forgotten Realms lore to this game particular. Like, in the first 2 campaigns, you'll have a chance to hear about Elminster. You'll have a chance to travel to the Sword Coast. You'll hear about the 10 Towns, Icewind Dale. A lot of stuff that I know many D&D fans will be looking for. And one thing that usually turns me off from games like this is when a character doesn't sound like what you think they should sound like. Let me tell you, the dwarf is gruff and rough. The tiefling rogue sounds just like it should. The dragonborn paladin, all the way across the board. The little gnome sorcerer, Tibby, all sounds like what they should sound like. And the graphics and audio design is perfect for what a VR or even console tabletop experience should be. And I don't want to miss out on including Mo Rock is one of the best voice narrators I've heard in a long time. I definitely rank top top 2 or 3, maybe even number 1. I'd have to go back and list the other ones, but the way that Mo Rock draws you in and describing the landscape, the story, what people are saying, what's going on to pull you into that D&D VR world, and it's amazing, and it really sets a precedence for what we can do in this space in regards to these types of games. And Resolution Games definitely made a big jump from just regular Demeo to something of this caliber. It's got story, places you can visit. It's got just the chance to be able to go talk to an NPC and a random quest pops up throughout your adventures, your little missions, dungeons. Mysterious things might happen. You might have to roll a skill check. If you fail, something happens. I personally rolled a skill check talking to somebody, end up having to fight a whole, I guess I'll call them a colony of creatures, so to speak. And it plays in the fact that in Dungeons and Dragons world, almost anything can happen. You could fall into a trap. You could have stuff fall on you. You could eat a poisonous mushroom. You could end up in a fight with, like I said, an entire colony of people. And if don't get too crazy, but you chaotic neutral sorcerers out there that might throw a fireball and hit your teammates, all that's possible. You have the oil barrels and stuff returning from Demeo, fire barrels, all that types of stuff. And everything looks amazing, like I already mentioned. Prismatic spray, fireballs, the smoke bombs from the rogue, the animal companions the ranger can summon. Everything is authentic to what you would expect when it comes to a Dungeons and Dragons experience, and that is what many people look for. And I think that's going to be a good precedence to draw people from the Dungeons and Dragons world over to this. Like, you look at some of the abilities and stuff, like the trolls in the game. All D&D fans know that trolls regenerate health, and they do that in this game, unless you prevent that regeneration of the health. You also have pack tactics, which is a Dungeon Dragons thing where creatures get bonuses based on being within a certain range of each other, and you have a chance to get creative and with some of these abilities and what they do. Like you have water flask. You can throw a water flask on an enemy, and then after you throw a water flask, if you have an ice spell, if you're a sorcerer, it freezes them. They can't take action. They can't move. If they use the water bomb, you throw lightning at them. They get electrocuted, does more damage, has a chance to hit your allies if you're not careful. But it is a really great experience, and I can't stress enough on how well the job was done, putting something out there that Demeo fans can respect, and then that Dungeon Dragons fans can respect. It's a hard task to meld both worlds, but they did a fine job. You do have some unlocks for achievements you get, different colors dice, different bases, and you have the way to level up your characters, which makes it feel like a Dungeons and Dragons experience. You can unlock different abilities that might increase your health, give you a chance to take reduced damage, give you extra movement. My bard can move 2 or 3 times without using an action point, and that's just gnarly. So you have a chance to also unlock weapons, which have unique abilities. My favorite one so far, and I've unlocked quite a few because I've put a lot of hours into it, probably the most from our site. And I don't remember what it's called, but it's a staff that if I melee attack an enemy, it has a chance to banish them. So I can hit a troll and have the chance to send it flying, somewhere else across the map and out of my face. Um, the stories are amazing. The campaigns are amazing. It has intrigue, mystery, betrayal, uh, everything you could want in a good Dungeon Dragon story. It has inns, taverns, shop, and it's not just like you have to go on this linear path. Like I said, you can unlock side quests, go do those, and it all builds up in the story to the ultimate experience. And it's got some length to it. If you're expecting the Demeo experience where it's just like 2 floors and a boss, like you can do that if you unlock the one shots. There's 2 1-shots for each campaign, so to speak, and you could have that typical Demeo experience. But for the Dungeons Dragons fan out there that want the long, drawn out campaign, that's there too with saving. I can start a single player campaign, level up, for example, the rogue to level 8, that I can go into a multiplayer game with PD or COG and continue from there and go back and forth. That's amazing to be able to do that. Obviously, there's some limits in some aspects, and for example, like I can't level up. I can't take my bard as a level 8, level up a multiplayer, and then it levels up the single player version as well. That doesn't work out like that. But being able to go through single player and multiplayer like that, you get your 1-shot dungeons. You can have the full campaign experience, be able to save, go back. It's DM-less. DM-less campaigns is amazing because everybody wants to play D&D, but nobody wants to be the dungeon master. And like I said, is this game worth your time? Well, if you're a Demeo fan, I feel it offers enough for the Demeo fans out there with the 1-shots and the characters and the little nod, so to speak, at the end of towards the end of Crown of Frost. I think it offers enough to bring Demeo fans over. And then for Dungeons Dragons fans, like I've said, it's can be a whole D&D experience. Dungeons Dragons, you have the 1-shots, you have the full campaign experience, you have the authenticity from Forgotten Realms lore, Icewind Dale, Ten Towns, the mention of Elminster, everything you could want. The narrator, Morok, being able to draw the players in. And as someone who wasn't a big VR guy, if it wasn't for Demeo originally, I wouldn't even have a VR headset right now. Demeo drew me in. I took the risk for my MetaQuest 2, and I never looked back. And this game, if I would have took the same leap, Dungeons Dragons Battlemarked is that game that would pull people in to get the VR headset. So once again, is it worth it? Absolutely. It's worth it for Demeo fans, Dungeons Dragons fans, tabletop enjoyers, if you want that VR experience, this game for you. You don't have to play VR if you're not a VR person. You got the PS5 version, you got the Steam version. Maybe one day, Microsoft, we're looking at you. Maybe you could help out Resolution Games and bring this game to the console for Xbox. I know many people out there would enjoy it, but Demeo X 10 Dragons Battlemarked, absolutely VR masterpiece, and personally, my game of the year. So go out and get it. MetaQuest 3, PSVR, PS5, Steam, PC. It's got a little something for everybody out there, D&D fans, Demeo fans, and I'll see you out there in the venture.
It's like thunder, breath like venom. The dragon strikes. But in this realm, defeat is never the end. Shadows close in. A spark remains. A die is cast. A whispered spell. Lightning answers the call. Storm meets stone. The tide turns. Courage is not forged in steel, but at the table where friendship meets fire and frost. From the green shadows lair to the frozen peaks of the north, every scar is a story. Sorcerers, rangers, paladins, and adventurers. For every victory won, another quest awaits. So raise your blade, your staff, your mug, for this is Demeo, Dungeons and Dragons, Battlemarked.